How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. It's Eric Erickson here across the United States of America. The phone number, should you wish to be on the program, is 877-973-7425. If you text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777, you can get the live stream, the podcast. Follow me around social media, the show notes, all of that. By the way, those of you who are out in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I'm going to come hang out with you tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be 4 p.m. your time. It'll be at the hockey arena at Pucks. If you want to go to krmg.com. There you'll see my face down on the right side of the page. Click it. You got to RSVP to be there. You got to register. Or you do use the KRMG app as well, and you can come see me. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. It's going to be a fun time, particularly how the elections went last night. Would love to have you out there tomorrow. Go to krmg.com or go the KRMG app. Now, the rest of you, if you text Eric to 33777 on a serious note, in fact, let me do this because it's been a while. I want to make sure I got it in the right order. So the number is 33777. And then you text my name, E-R-I-C-K, and you will get a text back. And the very first link says, subscribe to my daily note. If you will click that link, one, you get the show notes. Everything that I send out, everything I talk about on the show, I send out in show notes. Today's a little bit of an exception. Yesterday was the deep dive on the election. Got a lot of thanks for that, and I appreciate it. But one of the things I really, really, really want to emphasize to you is, yeah, you can. I'm bragging, yeah, but I literally was the first person. The first person. I beat everybody at Fox, ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, everybody. My sources were impeccable. I knew it was happening. And I sent out an email and I said, Kamala Harris's senior leadership is calling Democrats right now to tell them she has no path to 270. It was after me that others started breaking this news. And it was 2 o'clock in the morning before it was really starting to be obvious to people he was going to hit 270 by the morning. I was also one of the very few people out there telling you. In fact, Barrett Media quoted me that I was one of the very few people out there saying we're going to know before the sun rises on Wednesday who the nominee is. Everybody's like, it could be a week. It could be 2 weeks. It's like, no, we're going to know by sunrise. I don't get everything right, and it's amazing to me how often people want to hang on to the stuff I've said that they disagree with, that they think I got wrong. And sometimes I do, and I try to correct the record. And sometimes people think I got stuff wrong when I got stuff right. But if I don't give myself credit, no one's going to give me credit. And I know it's shameless self-promotion to say this, but it's true. If you are my listener or reader, my job is to tell you what's actually happening, what is the truth, and what I think about it. And sometimes you don't agree with me. Like, for example, the Tony Hinchcliffe stuff. I told you that Trump's decline happened after that. I talked to Democratic consultants. I talked to Republican consultants. I talked to pollsters. Everybody saw that hurt him. And like today, I've pointed out on Twitter, look at what happened. Look at what happened. He won. How can you say that? I can say that because I said that I didn't think it was going to be enough to hurt him. But even the Republicans in his campaign could see that it hurt him. And my job is to tell you what's happening out there. My job is to collect what the Democrats and Republicans are telling me, figure out what's true, and convey it to you. And when I got a call last night, I was doing a live roundtable discussion on my flagship station, WSB. And I bolted out of the room because I recognized the number. And it was a member of the Trump senior campaign staff saying, we think we've won everything. And for certain had won Georgia. And I get those phone calls all the time. And my job is to convey that information to you. And if you click that first link, if you text Eric to 33777 and you subscribe, when I'm not on air, I send you notes. Last night, I was sending notes repeatedly to people, telling them what's going on, giving them updates about what's happening. I want you guys to be up to speed because I think much of the mainstream media gets stuff wrong these days because they're more interested in telling you a story than telling you the truth. And I want to tell you the truth. And now I want to tell members of the media the truth as well because they need to hear it. I actually am a fan of the American media. I actually like CNN. I like CNN. I worked at CNN, but I don't always agree with what CNN does. I worked there for 3 years, and I worked at Fox for 5 years, and I still have better relations with a lot of the people at CNN who many of them disagreed with me, but they knew I wasn't a BS artist. They hated my guts when I got there. In fact, I learned later that one of them, who is now my dear friend, led a group of Republican and Democrats alike to the head of talent and said, you need to fire this guy. We don't want to work with him. And to their credit, at the time, management had my back and said, no, give him a chance. And I developed friendships with them. They saw I had run campaigns. I know how to do polling. I know how to do the ads. And I know how to do the mail pieces. I know how to run a campaign, build coalitions. And I earned their respect. It was hard. For a while, I was the guy. I'd come in the room and you'd see everybody visibly like slide over their chair so they didn't have to sit with me. And I try to maintain those friendships. I really like CNN. But I got to tell you, on a daily basis, I watch some of the talking heads on CNN, and it's not just the Democrats giving Democratic spin. It's the reporters themselves who are more likely to believe the Democrats than the Republicans. One of the reasons things happened the way they happened is because the Democrats were able to convince reporters that there was a reality that wasn't real. They were able to convince reporters that the things they weren't seeing, they were seeing, they were lied to, and they believed it. The Democrats lied to reporters. You know, a lot of Joe Biden's condition, yeah, it was reporters were willing to believe it for sure, but also a lot of reporters out there were also just, they were being lied to by the Democrats. God's honest truth, that's a real thing. They were being lied to by the Democrats. It wasn't just, and I in defense of members of the media, there were a lot of them who knew, but also many of them were being lied to, and they just trusted the Democrats. But here's the thing: they trusted them, and they're not going to trust them because their worldview is more sympathetic to the Democrats. And the Democrats have become so woke intersectionalist, they're missing the mark already. Let me play you this clip on MSNBC from Morning Joe this morning.
Rev, let's talk about, you talked about gender and race. Let's talk about race. Donald Trump fared very well with Hispanic voters, especially Hispanic men. The numbers are coming in still a little early, but I think he did better with black men than was expected in the past. What do you think pushed that, especially with the Hispanic voters going for Donald Trump as much as they did? Because that made a big difference.
I think that a lot of it was he was able to sell a lot of Hispanic voters that immigration was a threat to them, that some of the people coming across the border was a threat to them. I think that we've got to be honest, among Hispanic men and black men, there's a lot of misogyny. And I think that we've got to deal with the reality that he appealed to this whole false macho thing that some black men and some Latino men went for. I think that we cannot sit around just bedwetting. We've got to deal with the reality, and we've got to deal with the situation as it is in our own communities.
There you go. It's this misogyny. Here's David Axelrod.
Oh, I mean, look, I think, again,
You don't think there's any validity to that?
No, I think that there are plenty of ways to critique her as a candidate. I think there'll be time to do that. I think the fundamental point, and it's been made again and again and again tonight, no one, I don't care how good a candidate you were, it's very hard when there's a 28% right track number in this country, when people have 2/3 of the country think the economy is bad, regardless of whether it is or,
Again, I'm saying not just messenger, I'm saying the message as well.
But no, but that is all true, but that doesn't obviate the fact that there were some people who probably voted against her. We've never had a woman president, that there's sexism in this country. There are people who probably voted against her because there may be some people, there are clearly people who voted for her.
Okay, but yeah, there's sexism in this country. And then there's the bitterness, too. I want to play for you Ashley Allison on CNN. Listen to this.
Can we talk about, you said, the digital. The one thing that we kept hearing in the final days from the campaign, okay, and this was, and the Republicans acknowledged it, okay, which was outsourcing your ground game to Elon Musk and Charlie Kirk was a really bad idea because when you're paying people to knock on doors, they don't really care, they're not really passionate. That's why Trump was going to fail. And you had Democrats coming in with 2,000 doors knocked in the past hour and all by volume. You had all the passion on the door knocking. And yet what happened? Did those people just not show up?
I think it's a combination of it. Again, it's not one isolated thing that it's just not going to be. Like, I know it would make people probably feel better because then on the Democratic side, you say, well, we're going to focus on that to fix it. It's got to be a comprehensive approach. There were paid canvases on the Harris campaign, too, but they were turnout canvases. And then a lot of the folks that came in as volunteers, they were hitting the same doors over and over to try and persuade. And I think that the paid canvas helped with Donald Trump. I'm
just going to cut it here because we'll get dumber the more we listen to this. But she ultimately says, we should do some soul searching, but Republicans didn't do any soul searching after 2020. Wolf Blitzer has announced that Kamala Harris has called Donald Trump and conceded the race. So Wolf Blitzer announced it, and you know how he said it? She's doing what Donald Trump refused to do 4 years ago. Y'all got to let it go. But you can't. You guys in the press are mired in your own grievances. You don't like Republicans. You don't like us. When I was at CNN, I would have people come up to me in the hallways and whisper that they listened to me on the radio and they read me at Red State. Never had anyone whisper when I was at Fox that they liked what I did. I, as a conservative, should not have to go on your television shows on your terms. The problem is too many members of the media have decided to be gatekeepers of who are the legitimate voices on the right. Ryan Gerdusky can't say what he said to Mehdi Hassan about his pager going off. Mehdi Hassan can call Republicans Nazis. In fact, a lot of people on these networks called Republicans Nazis. Sure were a lot of Jews last night who voted for Hitler. If the media is not going to do any level of self-reflection, it's going to go out of business. And it should if it's not going to do any self-reflection. The American media lost the trust of the American people. There's breaking news I got to get before I go to break here, and I do want to take your phone calls. There's breaking news. The Department of Justice is telling the media it is winding down the investigations of Jack Smith. It is Department of Justice policy that presidents of the United States cannot be prosecuted while in office, and they will wind down the Jack Smith investigations before Donald Trump obtains the presidency on January 20th of next year. Jack Smith, again, being ordered by Merrick Garland to wind down his prosecutions of Donald Trump. Greetings, conversationalists. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. I want to go back to October 15th. And I want to, it's a little bit of patting myself on the back here a bit, but I want to say this in all sincerity. I know what my ratings are, and I know how large this audience has grown. Put it to you in perspective. I've been hitting number one in a top 10 media market, and I am the only conservative talk radio show host in America who, as a midday live radio show host, has done that this year. For a quarter, no less, while the Braves were competitive. And I thank you for trusting me. And I want to go back now to October 15th because I read you, to start the show that day, I read you a tweet I posted right before I went live. Let me just read this tweet to you. 21 days until the election, 60% of Americans think the country is headed in the wrong direction. More voters are calling themselves Republicans than Democrats for the first time in 3 decades. More Americans think Trump's last term benefited them than the Biden-Harris administration benefits them now. Trump leads Harris on the economy, inflation, immigration, and crime, which are also the 4 biggest issues voters care about. 50% of voters think the GOP will make them more prosperous compared to 44% for Democrats. 54% of voters think the GOP will keep the country safe from foreign threats compared to 40% for Democrats. 55% of voters prefer the government do less. 55% of Americans favor less immigration. The majority support Trump's plan for mass deportation of illegal aliens. More Americans favor Trump on handling Israel. More Americans favor Trump handling Ukraine. Trump is doing better than any Republican with black and Hispanic voters. Harris is less liked than Donald Trump by registered voters. The election might not be as close as it seems, and if Trump does win, Democrats will savage Joe Biden for not getting out sooner and savage Kamala Harris for picking Tim Walz over Josh Shapiro. Also, the Biden-Harris campaign team will need to go into witness protection program with Robbie Mook and never run campaigns again. Today, Democrats are on television savaging Joe Biden and savaging Tim Walz and savaging Kamala Harris for picking Tim Walz. The recriminations have begun, and that tweet held up from October 15th. And you guys heard it here on the radio that day. Now, let me tell you about Vision Computer. You hear about them on the radio, too. I love Vision Computer. I love their tech support. Let me talk to you if you're a freelancer real quick. You need someone who can help you with your computer. If you're a freelancer, you can't afford downtime, and sometimes your computer gives it to you, and you can't afford an IT department. If you call Vision Computers at 404-COMPUTE, any one of you nationwide listening right now, they can be your IT team, and you get a special number, you'll call them, and when there's ever anything you can't figure out on your computer, within 15 seconds, less than a Google search, faster than a Google search, they've got you back up and running. So you save your time. You keep your computer going. Call them at 404-COMPUTE. Tell them I sent you. You'll save even more money. And if it's a business expense for your small business, it's going to be tax deductible too. Talk to your accountant, though. VisionComputers.com or 404-COMPUTE. They can also build you computers. And if they build you the computer, you get their tech support for free. Call them at 404-COMPUTE. Tell them I sent you. Anyone nationwide. VisionComputers.com or 404-COMPUTE. Greetings, conversationalists. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the nation. There is breaking news happening now. The Biden administration is ordering Jack Smith to wind down his federal prosecutions of Donald Trump because under Department of Justice precedent, a sitting president or incoming president cannot be prosecuted by the United States government. There is a move afoot, I'm told, among Democrats to try to get Kathy Hochul to do something in New York and wind down that prosecution of Donald Trump as well. Fani Willis is a wild card in Fulton County, Georgia, but that case continues to collapse. The phone number here is 877-973-7425. Kamala Harris will address the nation at 6 p.m. tonight to formally and publicly concede the race. She called Donald Trump just a short time ago and told him she would be conceding the race. This is over. The Republicans will now pick up seats in the House of Representatives, expanding their margin. They will gain United States Senate seats, and they will win the presidency of the United States, the federal trifecta. Let's go to the phones. Jay has been waiting very patiently. Jay, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hello, doing great. Thanks for having me on here. First of all, congratulations for becoming the new kind of, I guess, Neil/Rush. I hope in the future you don't smoke too many cigars, though, I'll say.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
My point that I want to go and call in on, which is unfortunately, I need some help deciphering this because last night I saw it was on Fox News. I saw it on other networks. Afterwards, saw it on X, Twitter, and then even this morning with some of my friends that are male. That there's a lot of soul searching, I would say, of liberals basically trying to make excuses for why what happened last night. And the thing that is troubling, very, very troubling to me, is that the number one thing I keep hearing over and over again is the reason why she lost is because there were not enough people that could bear to vote for a black woman, which to me is so, number one, it's almost so racist to say that, but number two, they miss the whole point that a lot of these political races are made in the margins. And even if you look at, like, we'll say the Democrats, where you have the ultra left, we'll say Antifa people, and on the ultra right, even if you were to say the ultra right is racist based upon Democrats labeling them as such, in the margins, you really don't. I mean, you'd expect you wouldn't have, the number one thing being gender and, base identity politics.
Right.
And it's just, to me, it's amazing that people are sloughing off, taking away some of what has happened, this shift that's happened in America, and they've made it into compartmentalizing it into just saying, oh, it's just because people won't vote for a black woman. Which
I'm glad you said that because
I'm beyond how that would make sense to people, other than that they're being fed from the media that.
Jay, listen, the shift you're talking about is measurable in the polling, and it doesn't have anything to do with Kamala Harris being a woman. It has everything to do with Hispanic and black voters not wanting to be categorized by the color of their skin or their ethnicity. They identify more with working class white voters than they do a Democratic Party of progressive white women. They have the same economic struggles. Black men in particular are doing worse than black women in this country. And that's the data. And if the Democrats can't understand this, they're going to see more and more of a shift of these voters moving away from the Democrats to the GOP because they're not identity politics voters. I mean, here's the thing. A one-fifth of gay voters in this country voted for Donald Trump. 20% and probably more, 20% minimum, voted for Donald Trump. Hispanic voters voted for Donald Trump, first Republican to get the majority of the Hispanic vote in this country. Got a significant shift in the black vote in this country. And this should tell everybody in the Democratic Party something, but it's not what they want to hear. I want to play you this clip from Claire McCaskill on MSNBC last night. Well, come on, Claire. Why are you not talking? Did I mess up the volume here? Nope, her volume has cratered out on me. That's the problem. Claire McCaskill on MSNBC said essentially that they tried to blame Donald Trump for abortion and voters didn't bite. Abortion was not the significant issue for the Democrats. Abortion wasn't anybody's significant issue. They tried to make it the significant issue because they tried to do an identity politics play, and that identity politics play didn't work. I have breaking news. Charlie, I know you're listening on a slight delay, but I need you to text me that you are hearing me, Charlie, because I need you to hear the breaking news. I'm going to pause for a moment so that everybody can get the breaking news because of all the people in America who I want to make sure is hearing the news, you better still be there answering phones, Charlie. Yep, yep. He's here. He's here. Charlie's got to be here for this, and he's texting me that he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, I have breaking news for you. Captain Sam Brown is projected to win the Nevada Senate seat. Captain Sam Brown, who came to the gathering, is projected now to win the United States Senate seat in Nevada, moving the Republicans to 53 seats right now in the United States Senate. Dave McCormick is currently ahead in Pennsylvania, and more and more Democrats are thinking that Dave McCormick could win the U.S. Senate seat in Pennsylvania. Democrats privately believing there are not enough votes outstanding for Dave McCormick to lose. They were both at our gathering in August, and they are great guys. If you don't know Sam Brown's story, Sam Brown is the U.S. captain who, in the Battle of Kandahar, was wounded and burned over 3/4 of his body. Actually met his nurse, married the nurse who took care of him in the hospital, who rehabilitated him, and does a nonprofit for soldiers run out of Nevada. Oh my gosh, that's just fantastic. I was not hoping to hope because I didn't want my hopes crushed on that one. But yeah, John Ralston, who is the big Politico in Nevada, saying looking at the remaining votes in Nevada, it's expected now that Sam Brown is going to be the next senator from Nevada. That's just fantastic. Okay, Gordon has waited really patiently. Gordon, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, Eric. How are you?
Great.
I just wanted to say I agree with you that the Republicans need to show some humility, and as kind of an act or a show of good sportsmanship and an act of commiseration, they should give the Democrats something they've been pushing for, and just expand the Supreme Court. Wouldn't that make them so happy?
Yes. Yes, they should expand the Supreme Court now. Get rid of the filibuster. Or agree with the Democrats and expand the Supreme Court. Take Sheldon White House's plan and promise that as soon as the Republicans gain the Senate, they will enact Sheldon White House's plan to expand the Supreme Court. I mean, just take Sheldon's plan and push it forward. They should absolutely do that. Gordon, that is absolute genius. Absolute genius plan. Yes, my goodness. Look, I mean, the Democrats, get them on record now. They all said they want to get rid of the filibuster. So go on and get rid of the filibuster now. Go on and make it happen. Hakeem, you're up next. Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show. Oh, you there?
Sure did.
Hakeem.
It's a new day.
Well, all right. It is a new day. Hakeem was talking to a friend. So, Hakeem, if you call back, we might be able to get you. So, y'all, I mean, the Republican margin in the Senate is continuing to go up right now. This is a really great day in America. Wow, I'm excited about Sam and Dave. They are good people. They're just good people. Now, if the Democrats do want to go on and add seats to the Supreme Court, I'm sure Republicans will be happy to oblige. Joy Reid last night echoed Sonny Hostin today, and by the way, I don't think it's a coincidence that they vacation together and stuff, and so it's a hive mind thing. And they said that Kamala Harris ran a flawless campaign. This is Ed O'Keefe on CBS News from last night. I don't know what's happened to the volume I have no idea. Sorry, folks. Ed O'Keefe on CBS News said that if Kamala Harris had spent more time visiting HBCUs instead of hanging out with Liz Cheney, she might have seen better numbers with black men. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Again, they were out to lunch. The arrogance of the identity politics of the left. They were completely out to lunch on this. You should know that Letitia James, the Attorney General in New York, has just held a very defiant press conference about Donald Trump and the prosecution of Donald Trump. And she says that they will continue to take on Donald Trump and his administration. I think Kathy Hochul would be wise to go on and pardon Donald Trump and move us all on from this lawfare they engaged in. The American public did not buy it. It's time to give it up. Scott, you're going to be up next. Welcome to the show.
Yes, I was just commenting on something you said earlier about the prosecutor there in Athens, Georgia, where I'm close to, and you said that people rejected the idea of people being weak on crime, and I think that's correct. We don't like that people are weak on actual crimes, but the flip side of that is people saw Trump being railroaded by artificially created crimes, things that they saw themselves possibly being prosecuted for later that weren't real. And when they related that to themselves, if it could happen to him, it could happen to them too. And I think that's part of what drove them to kick out the Democrats.
Yeah, when you see the Democrats, they wielded the Department of Justice and local prosecutions against people they didn't like. Look at this. Yesterday on MSNBC, when Rachel Maddow thought that, or 2 days ago, when she thought Kamala Harris might win the election, she was talking about when she gets power, we got to go after Elon Musk. We got to cancel his contracts. We got to punish him. On MSNBC today, on The View today, on CNN today, Democrats are saying we have to do something with misinformation. We have to go after social media. We have to silence other people. They really believe they're telling the truth. They have built a house of lies. And their house collapsed across the nation last night. The arrogance of people to think that the nation just rejected you, and they rejected you because the lies of the right won out. There's an unhealthy level of entitlement. And I got to tell you, if the Democrats are talking about this, right now, this is how they're talking, they're not going to learn any lessons. They got their butts beat across the nation. Because it wasn't disinformation and misinformation. It was the economy, stupid. It was the trans issue, stupid. It was the immigration issue, stupid. It was all of those things. It had nothing to do with misinformation and disinformation. They can tell themselves all they want that that's the case, and it's just not true. And we still have economic issues out there to worry about. Interest rates, mortgage rates, all that. Swiss America has been warning people about a secret war on cash. They've been the trusted leader in precious metals for 40 years. If you're interested in safeguarding your hard-earned cash from the secret war, keep listening. I got a free report for you. Rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau, Swiss America can educate you on protecting your assets. In their report about the secret war on cash, it can save you on retirement in 5 minutes. It only takes 15 minutes to read it. Get a free copy by calling or texting 800-289-2646. The All-Out War on Cash. Digital currencies included. It's growing. It's spreading. Get the Secret War on Cash report for free. All you do is mention my name, Eric, E-R-I-C-K, when you call or text 800-289-2646. 800-289-2646. You get the free report by calling or texting my name, Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 800-289-2646. One more time, 800-289-2646. Message and data rates may apply. Welcome back. It is Eric Erickson here. I'm going to let Ed be the last caller today. Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show. Ed, how are you?
Doing great, really great today.
Thank you.
This is a wonderful day.
Yes.
And I love your commentary on where all this sickness was coming to the Democratic Party. I had no understanding where was all this craziness about trans and stuff coming from, and that's really enlightening. But I had a question about if you had any information, beliefs, or ideas about Trump's propensity for nuclear, expanding nuclear, and I put that in the text that Eisenhower said when he left office, that nuclear was a panacea of the world's energy picture, and we've lost our way. But
yeah, Trump actually believes we've got he wants a nuclear power plant in every state. He wants a massive expansion of nuclear power in the country. And I think if you see a reshaping of the Democrats' Green New Deal, you're going to see a massive effort to build nuclear power in the country under a new Republican administration. You know, the Georgia Power in Georgia has built Plant Vogtle. Yeah, the first nuclear power plant built in this country in like a generation. In fact, for perspective, for those of you who don't understand the significance of this, This project in Georgia was overrun, massively more expensive than they expected, and it was because we don't have any engineering brain power anymore to build a nuclear power plant. We stopped building them, and all the engineers who knew how to build nuclear power plants, they died or retired. Westinghouse, which had been the experts, had gone bankrupt, and Georgia Power believed it was necessary, Southern Company, that we got to figure out how to do this again. And the State Regulatory Commission in the state of Georgia backed them up on this and said, we need this know-how. And now, thanks to a private company in the United States called Southern Power, its subsidiary Georgia Power, we have a nuclear power plant in this country for the first time in a generation, and engineers who now know how to build nuclear power plants. We need to get back to that. All right, you've asked for it. Who am I, your host, on this day, to deprive you of that thing you have sought?
And now, Deep Thoughts by Kamala Harris. That was Deep Thoughts by Kamala Harris. And now, Deep Thoughts by Kamala Harris.
Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs. And there is such great significance to the passage of time.
That was Deep Thoughts by Kamala Harris.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kamala Harris will now address the nation at 4 p.m. instead of 6 p.m., conceding the presidency. Joe Biden has now put off his speech, saying he will not step on Kamala Harris's toes. He will address the nation tomorrow about this election, committing to ensure the peaceful transfer of power. The Department of Justice is ordering Jack Smith to wind down his prosecutions of Donald Trump. America has been liberated from the woke progressive elite. I'm Eric Erickson. Text Eric to 33777. Have a great day.